Christopher Nolan's much-awaited film Tenet is finally here to hopefully save cinema and movie theaters as we know it. And yes, this review will be spoiler-free, so if any of you guys have not seen Tenet yet, you're safe with me. Talking about Tenet without going into spoilers is going to be impossible, so I'm going to try my best to be vague when it comes to explaining the story. And obviously, with movie theaters being shut down because of the COVID-19 pandemic, Tenet was the first movie I saw in theaters since Onward back in March. Like, that's just insane, and I'm still not over it. And going back to the movie theaters to see Tenet was just... it was so weird. So, in order to be vague when it comes to explaining the story, I found the plot synopsis for Tenet on IMDb, so I'm just gonna say what they have on there. Armed with only one word, Tenet, and fighting for the survival of the entire world, a protagonist, played by John David Washington, journeys through a twilight world of international espionage on a mission that will unfold in something beyond real time. That is the best way to explain Tenet's story, because the story in the movie is much more complicated than you think it is. Across the board, the cast is fantastic. John David Washington plays the main character. His character is just named the protagonist, and that's pretty much it. But once again, he's proven to himself to be one of the best actors working right now, and he was previously in Spike Lee's BlacKkKlansman a couple of years ago, and he was fantastic in that too. And Robert Pattinson is also in the film as well, and once again, Pattinson has proven himself to be one of the best actors working right now in all of Hollywood. I know people give him crap because he played Edward in the Twilight movies, but guys, if you've seen Robert Pattinson in any of these recent movies like The Lighthouse, Good Time, and Tenet, you will see just how much of a phenomenal actor he truly is, and I think he deserves much more appreciation. And I'm so excited to see what he'll bring to Batman, because I think he's going to be a fantastic Batman for sure. And Elizabeth Debicki is also in the movie as well. Again, I can't talk about her character because of spoilers, but I will say this. She is basically the heart and soul of the movie, and I thought her character was pretty interesting. And from a technical standpoint, it is unbelievable. Now, I know the concept of time isn't really anything new to movies. Like, a bunch of movies have been overdone to death about time and all that, but the way Nolan presents time and how he uses it visually in the movie is unbelievable. It is so unique and so creative. However, I do have some issues with Tenet. It's definitely not perfect. For the most part, I was really into the story, but it definitely got to a point where it got hard to follow at some parts, and it did get a little complicated at certain points. And it's definitely Nolan's most complex film. Some of you guys are probably thinking, oh, well, what about Inception? Inception was pretty complex too, wasn't it? Well, the thing is about Inception is, I liked it more than Tenet because the story was a lot more simple and the concept was a lot less complicated. Inception was about dreams and Tenet is about time. Another issue I had with Tenet was the characterization, and Dunkirk had the same issue too. We barely knew anything about the characters, like John David Washington's character and Robert Pattinson's character. Like I said earlier, the most interesting character in the movie for me was Elizabeth Debicki's character, but I can't say why because of spoilers, obviously, but there's a reason why. There's one thing I've been noticing lately when it comes to Nolan's recent movies, specifically Dunkirk and Tenet. His movies aren't necessarily as character-driven as they are plot-driven. And I think Nolan could have toned it down just a little bit with the sound mixing. I think he went a little too far with it. And I think saying Tenet was loud would be an understatement. Like, seriously, there were certain parts in the movie where I thought the speakers in my auditorium were gonna explode. And I didn't even see it in IMAX. It kind of reminds me of that moment from The Simpsons where they're all in the theater and the THX intro is like blasting and some guy's head explodes and like glasses break in and the entire theater is like shaking like an earthquake. for the most part, I enjoyed Tenet. I definitely do think it's a good movie, but I'm definitely gonna have to rewatch it again when it's out on Blu-ray so I can get a better understanding of the story. For the most part, it worked for me, but I don't think it's nearly as good as Nolan's other movies like Dark Knight, Inception, Memento, The Prestige, and Dunkirk. I give Tenet a B+. So, if you guys have seen Tenet yet, what are your thoughts on it? Or, what is the most complicated movie you've ever seen? Whatever it is, just leave it in the comments below. And if you want to see more of my videos, just be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more great content.